If you ever want to gauge on how pants on head crazy and out of touch with reality the NDP is going to be in 5 years, I would say look no further than my humble province of Alberta and the NDP MLA for Highlands Norwood, Janice Irwin. Because in response to the ongoing housing crisis across Canada, her proposal for how we can make the problem lesser is to introduce socialism. That if we just have the government start managing housing, then we'll have more housing than ever and everyone will be able to afford it. Because, socialism always works everywhere it's ever been tried. At least I will give Janice Irwin credit, who I think I basically just look like her brother, so don't blame me for anything she does, even though we look like we're probably siblings. But at least she is honest about where she stands on policy. She will say what the real insider NDPers think about issues out loud to the public, while all other people in the Alberta NDP or the NDP federally are being like, shh, just say that we want to, put some little supplements out for housing. We just want affordable housing. Don't explain what that means. She will at least come out and directly say it. But here she is talking to reporters, whining that the minister doesn't listen to her.
As I've said time and time again to the minister, you've heard it from me. I want to be able to work with you. I want us to be able to work collaboratively to address the housing crisis. He's not willing to accept rent caps. He's not willing to boost rent supplements, which is something he could do immediately. So what is he going to do to address the fact that so many Albertans are struggling with skyrocketing rents?
Yes, Janice, all we need to make housing cost less is mandate that housing cost less and then give people out subsidies, because that's not going to chase away developers. That's not going to have landlords just say, I'm no longer renting out this unit. I'm just going to sell it on the market because that's how I'll get any of my money back. These people are so simplistic. And if you watched my last video, people who vote for the Liberals and the NDP also believe that they are the most educated and intellectual people. While yes, people who vote for the leftist parties are more likely to have master's degrees, it doesn't mean that you're actually smart. And Janice Irwin is a perfect example of this. She just thinks that prices too high? Just lower the prices. Oh, there's not enough of this supply of housing anymore? Well, just mandate that housing be built. Like, everything she proposes just walks down the road of socialism. And what was so funny is in Alberta right now, we have an Alberta NDP leadership campaign going on. And Sarah Hoffman, the former health minister of Alberta under Rachel Notley, she is actually endorsing Janice's idea. Sarah, who was actually opposing the carbon tax and saying that she doesn't like Justin Trudeau to sort of seem like a moderate, embraces the radical socialist position on housing. It's not that we just have way too much immigration and the demand on our housing supply is too great and we maybe need to lower that and make it easier to build. No. It's because we just haven't told the housing prices to be lower. And you could say, well, there's landlords that are trying to price gouge people. Maybe it's also because there's way too many people demanding housing because we have too many people coming into the province right now. That's also a problem. And saying that you can only charge this much for rent is just going to make a lot of people say, well, I'll sell the house myself instead. And if you say, well, you have to only sell the house for this much, they just won't sell it at all and they'll wait for another government who will let them do it. Good thing that we have the UCP and Danielle Smith in Alberta because they're not going to try and gut the free market. Every time, this is the problem with pharmacare as well, universal dental and the public healthcare system, frankly, is when you mandate prices to be set at a specific rate that, payouts to doctors need to be a certain amount or dentists, or that you can only rent a unit out for X amount of money and you have to have certain portions of your building be just affordable housing that's given out for free. People are going to stop supplying the good. It is just free market principles that when people can actually make money doing something, they will do it more. When they can't make money doing something or they can't make that much money, they will do something else. I don't know why I have to explain this to these people. It's ridiculous. When I was in university, you'd still have people going through multiple economics classes, learning how the economy works, and they still come out as socialists because it is not about whether you don't have to be educated into knowing how free market principles work. It's common sense how free markets work. You cannot be educated enough to get out of bad ideas. A lot of these people just emotionally like the idea of the government getting involved because it's the thing that it's justice. We are enforcing economic justice by setting rent caps, even though at the end of the day, yes, you gave one person an apartment for only $600 a month. but there's going to be another person who's not even going to get an apartment because no one wants to put an apartment on the market when they know they're barely making enough to even maintain the building. This is how New York became like such a hellhole in terms of being able to get an apartment to rent. This is why Vancouver is horrible. It's hard to build and there's way too much demand for the supply, and there are politicians trying to cap the amount that you can rent out apartments for. So a portion of the market becomes rent controlled apartments where they're only like $700 a month or whatever, and then all the other units have to become luxury priced in order to make up for the deficit the landlord's having for that other unit. So in order to put 100 units on the market, let's say he owns a large apartment building, and 20% of those 20 units have to be at $500 a month, well, all the other apartments are now going to be at $2,500 a month because he's losing money on the 20% of the ones that are rent controlled. Goodness. Because Sarah Hoffman endorsed this policy, she should 100% lose the NDP leadership race. Or if anything, I hope she wins so she gets smashed. This is why, as bad of a politician as he is in terms of the actual results of his policy, this is why Naheed Nenshi is going to easily win the NDP leadership in Alberta, because he's the only one who moves slowly on the radical ends that he wants to get to. Nenshi agrees fully with Janice Irwin on everything, but he moves slower than Janice Irwin, and that's why he's an effective politician. He made Court Ellington his chair of his campaign, the current NDP MLA for Calgary Foothills. The most boring man you've ever met, in a good way. I actually say that in a good way. Like, obviously I don't like the Alberta NDP, but he is the type of NDPer who can like appeal to the middle class. So many of the Edmonton MLAs for the NDP are like, pants on head crazy because they are in an environment where everyone just votes NDP out of tradition and they never check into how nuts these people are. Nenshi knows to ally himself with the people who actually somewhat have their feet on the ground in order to appear as a moderate. I will go on to cover more of the Alberta NDP leadership election in the future. It's kind of interesting what's going on, but really this is going to be a fight between the out and out socialists and the secret socialists. And I think the secret socialists are going to win despite how radical the NDP leadership or the membership base tends to be in Alberta. Anyways, that should be it for me today. As you all know, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, I, Wyatt Claypool, I'm running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination federally. If you live on the west side of Calgary, see if you live in this riding. What's on screen is what the new riding boundaries are going to look like. So Bowness and Greenbrier are being moved out of the riding. Curry Barracks, Ross, Carrow, and Lincoln Park are being added into the riding. So buy a membership if you live here. If you know people who live here, get them to buy memberships. Go visit my website in the description below, WyattClaypool.com. And also you can donate to my and the TNT's legal fund. We have a developer suing us. He's basically mad at us because we had a guest writer report accurate things about him, the fact that he was donating to Aaron O'Toole's leadership campaign and he has some connections to the CCP in China. Our guest writer literally, when she made those claims, she didn't even make the claims herself. She just referenced a large Globe and Mail investigation about this man. And he never sued the Globe and Mail because he knew he'd lose that lawsuit. Oh, goodness. I started replaying. Stop trying to scare me, Janice Irwin. But yeah, so we're being sued. It's like he has no evidence that we defamed him. All of our reporting was based off of what other people had already reported. So if you can donate anything, it really helps us with the burden of costs. We've paid over $26,000 into defending ourselves. So even $10 helps us just get along and be able to reinvest in actually making more content for the National Telegraph and not just defending ourselves in court. Anyways, hope if you saw me get jump scared by Janice, commented in the comments on the video because I want to know how many people actually get this far. Anyways, have a good one, everyone.